And we are back with another episode of Lions Basement Banter. Welcome back, Lions fans, One Pride Nation. It's been a while, but let's not dwell on that.
It's cold in the basement. Brendan has full winter gear on.
Full disclosure, just woke up from a nap and I did not want to fix my hair, so the hat went on. um, it's been a while since we last talked. A lot has happened. We're not really going to worry about that because you guys know what has happened. We don't really need to fill you in on
And
that.
if you don't, then you just jumped on the bandwagon, and some will say welcome. We will say jump back off because we're about to win our first Super Bowl.
Yep,
So,
exactly. So
yeah.
we are officially in the postseason. We have a Lions team that went 15-2 in the regular season, won the NFC North back-to-back seasons. We have the number one seed in the NFC, home field throughout. The road to Super Bowl runs through Detroit in the NFC.
A whole lot of firsts.
Yep. So we will today on this show, we're just gonna kind of recap all the games, all the action that happened on Wild Card Weekend. Obviously, the Lions weren't in action because they get that first round bye. We'll preview the upcoming game on Divisional Round weekend with the Lions hosting the Washington Commanders, and we'll have a little bit of extra fun on the end of that, talking just general stuff at the end of the year in the NFL. We'll talk kind of our thoughts on award season and the head coaching carousel.
Yeah.
So it should be a fun show.
Yeah, it's always action packed, and this is no exception. So, before we get right into it, I'd like to tell you guys that this show is brought to you by Empire Contractors out of Shelby, Michigan. Empire Contractors is a full-service roofing company that specializes in liquid-applied roof restoration. So if you or someone you know needs a commercial roof, check them out at roofsbyempire.com or on Facebook. Make sure you tell them Lions Banter sent you. All right.
And of course, we also would like to thank Planters Peanuts. Planters, get nutted on. Anyway, moving on.
That is not. If we're getting money from that, I'm not getting it. So.
Okay. So, like we said, it's Wild Card Week, or the Wild Card Weekend just happened last weekend. So we had a good number of games that took place. In total, there were 6 games.
Boring games.
Depending on your stance, it's kind of has the feeling of what the college football playoff had in their first few rounds, where everyone knew who was going to win just about.
Yep.
And it played out exactly how you would expect it to play out.
Except for the team that we will be playing. Other than that.
Yep. So, starting out in the AFC, we had the Steelers taking on the Ravens. I don't think anyone suspected that the Steelers were going to win that game.
My mind was blown, honestly. My mind was blown that they only lost by 14. That's pretty much what I have to say about that.
They lost 28-14. The Ravens are a force to be reckoned with. Lamar Jackson is having one hell of a year at the quarterback position.
Scariest team in the NFL for me, honestly.
So they win and they'll travel, or they'll host actually their next game. No, they won't. Sorry,
Nope.
What am I thinking of? The Ravens will travel. They're the 3 seed in the AFC, so they'll travel to the 2 seed, which is Buffalo. The Bills won their wild card weekend game against the Broncos in an absolute blowout, 31-7. Had a few, scary moments there at the beginning as Bo Nix uncorked a deep ball.
In the first 3 minutes of the game, then it was over.
Took a 7-0 lead, and I think everybody though that saw that touchdown that early thought that this could be an actual game. But
and I think a lot of people were hopeful too because Bo Nix is obviously a rookie and up and coming and stuff, and obviously just kind of foreshadowing. That's what a lot of people are thinking for Jaden Daniels as well. So yeah. Anyways.
Yep, and that basically, with those outcomes, you had the last game in the AFC basically deciding who will head to Kansas City and Arrowhead, and that was between the Chargers and the Texans. This was one I think that everybody was kind of thinking could go either way. I think you and I both have favored the Chargers in that one, even though they were underdogs, a true wild card team, not a division winner like Houston was.
No, I had them winning a close game, which obviously that's not what happened, but I also I think they would have won that. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't want to speculate. Yeah. It's not worth it.
Well, Justin Herbert just kind of fell back to earth.
That's kind of where I was going with it. Was
They
Justin Herbert.
yeah they are in true need of some weapons for him on offense. I don't know what happened there.
I think honestly, I think Lad McConkey could be the second coming of Cooper Kupp. He reminds me of Cooper Kupp a
I don't
lot.
think he's quite there.
I think he could be though.
I
I
think
really do.
I think he's going. They're going to need another receiver, and quite possibly, a tight end. Maybe you spend
Hmm.
a first round pick on a Colston Loveland if he's there. We know he has familiarity with Jim Harbaugh, but irregardless, they lost 32-12 to the Texans. Texans looked really good. Their defense looked especially good. So they will move on, travel to Kansas City, and do a gauntlet there. We'll see if upset can be pulled.
Zero chance.
Moving on to the NFC, we had two games on Sunday that took place. We kind of thought that the Packers and the Eagles had an upset potential. It was upsetting if your name was Jordan Love or if you're a Packers fan, because they lost 22-10 to the Eagles. It was ugly for the Packers, injury riddled in that game, and they just looked bad.
If you're not a Packers fan, but you're a fan of a team in the NFC North, I actually tweeted this. You're probably as excited for that signing as when the Bears took Jay Cutler and re-signed him to a big contract because he was the biggest asset for the Lions for a little while there.
Yeah, we've got the Eagles winning that one. Of course, means that they will continue to host.
Second seed. Yep.
Yep, they're the second seed, so they'll host the Rams, who won the Monday night game over the Minnesota Vikings, in a game that I don't know if you did. I picked the Rams to win that game in an upset. Well, was it really an upset because the Rams won their division?
The way that, yeah, I mean the way the seeding goes, it was an upset, but it was, I don't know. No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't an upset.
No,
Vikings
yeah,
were the
the
5
seeding.
seed,
That's right.
and they were the 4.
That's right.
But Rams looked good. They looked dangerous. They've got a very, very good defensive front for how young they are, especially.
Yeah.
They can really get after you. The secondary is still a big question mark for them. Offense, of course, just rolling at masterclass by Matthew Stafford. He picked them apart the entire game.
I couldn't believe when I looked back, and I mean, obviously, if you think about it, it's not a shocker, but just the fact that I read it and hadn't thought about it yet, the Vikings lost 4 games, and they lost 2 games to 2 teams, essentially.
Yep,
2
they
to the
went
Lions, 2 to the
0-4
Rams.
against the Lions and the Rams.
That's crazy. I hadn't realized that until I read it out, thought about it, I guess.
Yeah. So. Of course, we know the Vikings' story in that one was Sam Darnold returning to pumpkin form.
Yep.
Likely playing himself right out of a contract in Minnesota.
Yep.
So.
He was flushing money down the toilet.
Yeah. So the final game in the NFC, I think I had picked as an upset win, and it went that way. I don't know if you had it the same. Commanders and Buccaneers. Commanders, of course, coming out with a narrow 23-20 win in Tampa Bay, and will now travel to Detroit by virtue of that win.
Yeah, and that one was the one that I was thinking when we were talking about the Rams. We kind of flipped them there, but that's the one that was an upset but didn't feel like an upset, honestly. I think the Bucs, because they won their division, were seated higher, but I think the Commanders are the better team there. So
yeah, I agree. I think that
especially with the wide receiver issues that the Bucs have had in that game. Obviously, Godwin was out still. So
all right, well, enough about the past, but let's keep talking about the Commanders. We've got them coming to Detroit on Saturday night for the second game of the day. Kansas City and Houston will play in the early frame, and then the Lions will get the Commanders at night at Ford Field. Let's just dive in and
or
talk.
For those of you NFL fans that are actually still cool, it's actually the Redskins.
Okay. For those of you that are still cool and somewhat racist.
Oh my gosh. Just sign the petition, okay?
So moving on, we're just going to talk about, what it's looking like here. We'll talk about the facts between the two teams, where they stand fact or stat-wise, and how they match up against each other. And I think you have to start talking when you do that about the Commanders' defense.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be something that they're going to have to
That's
You
their
know,
Achilles heel. It is.
it. I don't think it's the full defense is their Achilles heel. One aspect of it, yes. If you look at it, they're allowing about 327 yards per game, which ranks 13th in the NFL, so that's not awful. Their passing defense is really good by NFL standards. They rank third in yards allowed, which to me was surprising considering they didn't really have a number one cornerback until they got Marshawn Lattimore, and he just played his first game for them last week in the playoffs,
Yeah, I was
going
just
up
about to look up
against
that stat.
Mike
So,
Evans.
and
Yeah.
he struggled.
Oh yeah, no, he definitely did. We'll get more into that. But the only really guy that I can think of on their secondary was a guy that we hold dear to our hearts, is Mikey Sanders still
Yes, sir. Yep.
playing in the nickel. But we won't talk specific players until a little bit. I just want to kind of nail out some stats. So there's that. The part that the Lions are going to really need to exploit is going to be the rushing defense. The Commanders rank uh, third to last in yards allowed per game, and against the run, they have allowed 137.5 yards per game, which is 30th in the league. And then along with that, they're 18th in points per game allowed on defense at 23 average.
Yeah, and you're going in to play a team at home who I think we number one in points per game,
Mm-hmm.
offensive.
No, I think we were second. I think the Ravens were ahead of us.
Okay, so I mean, top three. We'll just
Mm-hmm.
go top three. So we should be able to put some points up there.
Actually,
So.
no, you're right. Sorry, points per game. We did rank first.
Oh, I didn't see you had it down there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll
yeah.
we'll keep talking about that, but
Yeah.
the key thing here is just it's going to be all about the Lions establishing the run, getting different ways to get the backs going. David Montgomery back fully healthy. Jahmyr Gibbs has been killing it in the late season with a full workload. It'll be interesting to see.
Do you think Gibbs is now, well, probably this game no matter what, just because Monty's just coming back, but do you think Gibbs has kind of taken over that starting spot and Monty will come into spelling
I
now?
I just don't think they see it that way. They've always, no matter who's playing how well or who's doing what, they really like going with
The
split
bell cow.
possessions.
Well, yeah, and then you got the bell cow kind of
Yeah,
starting, and
and
then the flashy coming in for.
they say they don't do it, but they almost always just alternate series, and then depending
Yeah.
situational wise, they might rotate in. But
We saw that a lot in the first half of just about every single game, and then like you're saying, then they made their adjustments, but that they did start by trying to do that, whether they
yeah,
say that or not.
yeah. One thing I did want to note is a lot of people talking about how good the Commanders have been this year, and they've won a lot of tight games. Obviously, they're very good in one possession games, but I did want to point out the fact that who have they played? They have got some quality wins. I'm not going to discount that, but I'd like to point out that their opponent's combined record is 102 and 136. So they're sub 500 or sub, yeah, sub 500 in the opponent's record. So
Well, I mean, and look at their division. You take the Eagles out of it, and they played the Cowboys and they played the Giants each twice. So I
yeah.
mean, this year, those are four pretty
Yeah.
easy wins, or should be.
And salt in with there, you got the Panthers, the Browns, the Bears, the Saints, the Cardinals, and the Falcons. Really, some of them played okay at times this season.
A lot of mid-tier teams.
Yeah, most of them were nothing special.
A lot of mid-tier, yeah, like 20 to or uh, 12 to 20 ranked teams. So yeah,
and
I see that.
even with the poor quality of opponents there, of those games that we just mentioned, the guys that they're the teams I listed and the divisional opponents that you listed, 5 of those contests were decided by one possession.
Well, then that's easy. We just put belt to ass, and we just make sure that we score more points than them and score a lot more points than them.
Speaking of scoring points, that is one thing that the Commanders are capable of, and a lot of that is rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels, who has been an absolute stud, the number 2 overall pick in this last year's draft. Obviously, looking like an offensive rookie of the year right now. He or the offense for the Commanders ranks 6th in yards per game. at 370 yards just about. They're averaging 215.6 passing yards per game, which is 17th. But sorry. I think I'm a little bit off
You
there.
had that flipped, right? Or you were looking?
No. They're very good. They're averaging 215.6 yards per game in passing, and then another 150 on the run game, which is where they make their bones. They're very good at running the football, not with their backs though. It's mostly Jaden Daniels.
Which, I mean, if you want to go with with what everybody says, in the past, we've struggled with mobile quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a lot of in the past.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They are a top 5 scoring offense as well. About 29 points per game is what they're averaging. Um, counterpoint that for the Lions. The Lions defense is currently about middle of the pack in pass or in yards allowed per game. They're at 20. That's not great when you look at it, especially when you see they're allowing 244 yards per game in the pass. But it balances itself out because they're only allowing 98 yards on the ground per game, which is ranked as the 5th least allowed by a defense in the NFL. And when you also look at it, yes, they give up a ton of yards, but they are one of the best scoring defenses in the NFL, only allowing 20 points per game to opponents, which is ranked 7th in the NFL.
Which I've heard a lot of people, or I've seen a lot of people arguing the fact that, like, again, kind of what you said about the Commanders, who have the Lions played. Well, that's why I kind of pointed out the division, because you look at the NFC North, you got the Packers, you've got the Vikings. The Bears obviously put some points up on us, more than 20. We brought that down a lot with some of the games that we absolutely whooped on teams.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the Vikings being one of them at the end of the year. So
yeah. The one thing I want to point out is I know what people are going to say is that our rush defense is a strength of ours. It has been all year, and I know what people are thinking is it a strength still because we lost Aleem McNeil?
yes.
I don't want you guys to worry about that too much because if you dive into the numbers a little bit, I said they've averaged 98 yards allowed on the ground throughout the entire season. That's with McNeil for just about all of that. I mean, he missed 3 or 4 games at the end of the year. For context, though, over those 3 games that they didn't have McNeil, they only allowed 84 yards per game, and that was to Chicago, San Francisco, and Minnesota.
And so here's the thing. I 100% agree with that. Another absolutely major key, two major keys on defense that's going to help us. One, we're home. We're the number 1 seed overall. We got a bye week, and we've got fans that are absolutely hungry for this thing. So that's huge. Everybody wants to say Jaden Daniels played at LSU. He played in the SEC. That is a totally different beast when you go into Ford Field. I don't care where he's played before. It's going to be a totally different beast. The second thing, Alex Anzalone. I got nothing else to say.
Yeah. Okay. So just playing off that, I'm going to give you kind of what I think my keys are, and if you want to respond, go for it. If you agree, then you agree.
I disagree.
Essentially, all I'm going to say here is Lions are going to need to run the ball. You shove it down the Commanders' throats early and often. Returning David Montgomery to the lineup is a great sign. He's had full practices all week this week, which is.
I was just gonna ask, have you heard that he's 100%, or is he? You know what I mean? Like, is he?
I don't think anyone's really discussed that, but I don't think you can take for granted the fact that he's been full practice the entire week. There was no ease him in.
Right.
It was full practice, and to me that bodes well for his designation, obviously for the game he's going to play, but also for the amount of workload that he's able to take on.
Okay.
Does he take on a full workload? I don't know.
I'm not worried about the work. I shouldn't say worried, but I'm not thinking about the workload as much as I'm thinking about the power that David Montgomery brings with his angry runs.
I don't think you need to worry about that at all. if you're concerned about his injury, I know there have been a lot of Lions fans talking about rushing back from a knee injury like that. If I don't think we ever got clarification on just how like what grade that sprain was, but if you're looking at a grade 1 MCL sprain, which would be the mild case of an MCL sprain, you're looking at anywhere from they say 3 to 12 weeks on recovery. That's for a normal person, not for an S tier athlete at the top of his game who has the utmost, the best doctors and trainers at his disposal to help him get back. I don't think it's a stretch to say he's fully ready to go, having I would say like what 4 weeks
Yeah.
of rehab
If
already.
you don't think that these, like you're saying, S tier athletes heal way faster than regular people, I'd like to refer you to Adrian Peterson back when he played for the Vikings. That's all I got to say on that
And
one.
it's only gotten better. That was not to say it was like ages ago, but that was considerably
15,
long ago.
15 years ago or so, something like that.
And the recovery times for injuries have gotten way better.
Mhm.
Obviously, you need look no further than the potential of Aiden Hutchinson returning from a broken fibula and tibia, or whatever the hell it was,
To
broken
play
leg,
with us in the Super Bowl.
and he might be playing in the Super Bowl if we can make it there. I digress. The thing I'm trying to say there is Gibbs and Montgomery should be able to rack up yards. I would look for a good amount of yards for both of them and possibly multiple touchdowns for both of them.
The thing is, when Montgomery went down, Gibbs stepped up. I mean, you've said it. I'm basically repeating what you said, but it needs to be said. I mean, Montgomery went down. What did we miss him? 100%. One, because I'm a huge fan of Montgomery, but the other part is like you missed that actual like bell cow, the big strong guy. But the flashes that Gibbs has shown, if you wanted somebody that could be a number one starting running back in the NFL and not have a running back by committee, Gibbs showed that he can do it. It's just that much nicer to keep him fresh with Montgomery in there. So, yeah.
So we talked about the offense. Let's move to the defense. Here's my key here. The Lions' defense is likely going to have to employ that bend but don't break system that they have been all year. You're going to give up yards against this team. The key is, can you keep them out of the end zone? Can you keep them to field goals or force them into punts where, yes, they flipped the field, but they didn't get points? That's huge. If you look at the defensive yards allowed for the Lions overall in the pass game, the naked eye says that they rank in the bottom tier as a defense, and they're just not good. That's not the case. They've allowed just over 20 points per game, which is top 10 in the NFL. Jaden Daniels is the Commanders' offense.
Jaden Daniels is going to run.
Mhm.
He's going to get yards. Just like you're saying, bend don't break. I don't care if he gets it all the way down into the red zone and then he's jammed up and doesn't have room to run. Make him kick a field goal, and then the next drive you go down, score a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, if they beat us on field goals, so be it. I 100% agree with you on that. My other offensive key is actually nothing to do with on field. If you have a ticket, a $900 plus ticket to this game, I hope that you have to go to the hospital because your vocal cords need to be checked, because I hope that place absolutely blows the roof off.
Yep. Just continuing, we talked about Jaden Daniels. He's their offense. He's their run game. The backs that they have are Brian Robinson. He's been extremely disappointing this year.
Yeah, he's up and down.
They have Austin Eckler, but he's aged. I think he's more of a threat in the passing game. They're going to use him on screens and that, but I just don't think that either of those guys are going to put up rushing yards against our defense. It's going to be Jaden Daniels on those off-schedule plays or on designed quarterback runs, right?
Yeah.
To kind of bounce off of that, I'm expecting, as AG likes to do, a lot of man-to-man coverage once again. So you're going to see TA, who is back from
like press
foot,
even.
Yeah, maybe we'll see him back from that foot contusion that he suffered in week 17 against the Vikings at the end of the game there. And Amik is going to. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I know we're used to the old school.
Amik Robertson is going to be another key. We saw what he was able to do against Justin Jefferson. I
Jeff
don't.
Okuda, who?
If Amit can do that against Justin Jefferson, I don't think he's going to have a problem with these receivers. Obviously, I give Terry McLaurin all the respect. That guy is a baller. Um, he's best at 50-50 contested catches. If we can get sticky guys on them and just, you know, play discipline, TA is going to have to get that head around. You cannot be getting into the body of McLaurin. You're going to get flagged for it every single time. And then the other receiver is Diami Brown out of North Carolina, who really has had a quiet career to this point, but has started to come on in the later stages of the season. He looked really good late in that game against the Buccaneers.
This team is also going to rally around the St. Brown and Diami Brown situation too, because he was picked before him. St. Brown had some stuff to say. It wasn't anything even like crazy
and
or
that
bad.
was a while ago that he said that. It wasn't recent.
But whatever. People can hate on St. Brown for saying what he says, but if that's what gets him to the Hall of Fame because of that chip on his shoulder from draft day, I do not care.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
man-to-man coverage, right? Outside of that, Anzalone and Campbell. Yep. I am going to almost guarantee you that at least one of those guys is going to be on a quarterback spy for at least 75% of the game. You are going to have a quarterback lurking there whose only job is to watch Jaden Daniels. Make sure, if he's running, that you have him locked up. Keep him in the pocket.
Wrap him up.
Exactly. So, and that opens things up. If you want to stick the other linebacker on Zach Ertz and cover him at that tight end position, you can do that, or you blitz them. They love blitzing their linebackers.
Yep.
They got tons of pressure on Sam Darnold doing that last week. I expect there to be some packages in there for that to happen again. If all that plays out the way we want to, we're going to see Kirby and BB play pivotal roles in the backfield. Yep. They're just kind of lurk back there and make plays like they have all year. Just roam the field and track the ball.
Well, and let's be real too. I mean, you talked about Zach Ertz. He has had an absolute reincarnation this year. He's had a great year, and it's because of that mobile quarterback. You get you end up with that tight end getting open in the flats or getting open, middle of the field, and that just he's really done well with that. I'll give you a hot take right now.
Okay.
Jack Campbell or Alex Anzalone with an interception in this game.
Okay. I'm not going to give you anything like that, but
I just think because of if we're able to spy and we're able to hold him somewhere in there, he's going to have to throw that ball on the run, and I just think it's going to be over the middle. We're going to have a shot at it.
Yeah. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. So
oh boy.
I went ahead and I picked kind of a dark horse candidate for each team. It can be offense or defense, whatever you want. Okay. My dark horse candidate right now for the Commanders' offense is Zach Ertz, and you just talked about
for player of the game, or
just guys that are under the radar, not like the guys that you're talking about heading into this game, but they could have a huge impact on the game. I'm going to say Zach Ertz for the Commanders. He's that steady, reliable presence over the middle of the field. Quarterback's best friend is always the tight end, and when you're a rookie playing in an environment like that, you're going to need somebody to just get open and be reliable to catch little dump-off passes, if anything. I think with extra resources devoted to Daniels running, Zach Ertz could find himself with a lot of space in the middle.
Okay. Are you doing one for Lions and
I'll
let
you jump on the Commanders, and then I'll give my Lions one, and we'll just kind of.
And you're not doing offense, defense. You're picking one person.
Yeah. Okay. No, just one person overall.
I'll be honest with you. Other than the big names, I don't know much about the Commanders' defense. I would actually say, and you kind of alluded to this too, I would actually say my dark horse is actually going to be Austin Eckler, just because of those dump-off passes. If we are QB spying, we're going to have to pick whether we're going to have to choose who we cover. Are we going to cover the quarterback, or are we going to cover that little, check down pass or that screen play or whatever? I just think Austin Eckler is going to have the option to hit some big runs. Is it enough to win the game? No, but I think he'll have a bigger game than people are thinking.
Okay. My dark horse candidate for the Lions on offense, I'm staying on offense, is Waymo. I absolutely think that he's going to have a day.
I did you a favor.
Why is that?
You started to go away from the Lions and onto the Commanders, and I'm like, man, I really want to talk about how JMO might have a really big game over the top, so I just let it go.
Yeah. So if you look at
That
it,
won't be mine though.
I don't think the Commanders are going to deploy the same look that they did last week. They put Marshawn Lattimore on Mike Evans the entirety of the game. He followed him around the field. That's partially because he's the biggest threat for the Commanders, but also partially because Lattimore and Evans have a history, and
There's that
Lattimore,
history,
I'm
yeah.
sure, requested to be put
Yeah.
on him in man-to-man coverage.
He was covering him or he wasn't suiting up. I can pretty much guarantee you that.
I had a bug on my mic. That was odd. Anyway,
Eat it.
that was a stink bug. The Commanders, Lattimore is a legit number one corner. I'm not going to knock him there. Although, if you put stock into PFF grade, he was terrible last week. He was the lowest graded defender in the wild card round at a 24.6 grade.
Sometimes I believe those, sometimes I don't.
Yep.
It's hard to stick with those.
Obviously, we did just say that he was covering Mike Evans the entirety of the game, but
Mike Evans won that battle.
the Commanders have that we talked about solid nickel quarterback, and Mikey Sanders still is having a good rookie year. But I just think Waymo's speed is going to help space out those guys, and whether it's his impact catching the ball or just his impact drawing the defense deep in order to get other guys open, I just think whether his name's called or not, he's going to have a big effect on this game.
Oh yeah, he could definitely help. Guys like Laporta could end up having a big game because of him. You even look at Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick might have a big game because of him too. So, and then Spencer Raxter, if you're listening, the slot merchant might get it too. So,
do you have any dark horses?
I would say my dark horse, honestly, is not just the defensive line, but I would say Levi Onwuzurike, because I think if he has, first of all, he's in the playoffs and he's most likely going to be looking for a contract. So every single game from here on out is going to be played 100%, 110%, whatever, and it has been this whole year. But I think there's opportunity for him to get there in the middle, stop the pocket from opening up so Daniels can step up and scramble. I think it's going to help if he's able to do that, and I think he could come away with a sack and a half on this game.
Yeah. Just some interesting notes here, and you guys out there might not know, we don't really script these shows. We have some talking points. I don't always share everything I'm going to talk about with Zach, though, because I want to catch him by surprise a little bit. So here's something.
You do?
Here's some interesting notes I have on this game. Are you ready?
Yep. I'm ready.
The Commanders, I saw this, and I don't remember the account, but thank you for whoever you are on X for posting this and bringing it to my attention, because I thought it was great. The Commanders have been flagged 6 times this year for ineligible man downfield on passing plays.
Jaden Daniels.
That's more than twice the league average. They're averaging about 3 called per team this year.
Wow.
Why is that significant? Because Ron Torbert, who is the head official for this game, has a crew that collects officials from Sean Hockey League's team, Sean Smith's team, and Brad Allen's crew. Allen and Hockey League officials are going to be near the line of scrimmage in this game, and that's significant because anyone who's been a part of Torbert's crew this year are calling on average 54% of the penalties they throw on the offense, meaning you're going to see probably a lot of false starts, holdings, maybe some offensive pass interference at times, and ineligible man downfield, because that crew also ranks number 1 in
Dear Lions secondary. Hold your coverage for one more second.
Yeah. This crew, or the crew of Torbert, ranked number 1 this year in flags for ineligible man downfield. The Commanders' offense loves to run RPOs, and that is when you get ineligible man downfield, because guys are blocking. If a play takes longer to develop than it should, they're holding that block and then they're moving. If you don't get that ball out before he's a yard down the field,
you better be running
every
the ball.
time.
Yeah,
exactly. So Um, I'm going to say there's going to be it's going to be sloppy for the Commanders at times. I think they're going to get flagged for some false starts as they try to deal with the noise in Ford Field, and I think they're going to get flagged on some procedural penalties that that bite them. It happened last week. They actually got called for an ineligible man downfield in the wild card round.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean, I can see that happening. You seriously don't know who posted that?
No, it was like
That
a
has BHB written all over it.
no. It
That's
was
he always comes up with those
it
stats.
wasn't. It was like some kind of it was a stat NFL stat type thing.
Okay.
They look into that stuff, but
Sorry.
just thought that was interesting, and I it could be something, it could be nothing, but
I mean, it could burn our ass the same though. You know,
yeah.
I mean,
Although we don't run RPO, we run play action. We rarely get called for an eligible man downfield. I feel like we've gotten it like once or twice this year.
I think I remember once. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't remember what game, but yeah, it was. I do remember once.
This one isn't really like groundbreaking news. You should know this. There's injuries. There are injuries on both sides, not major though. I was looking in the early parts of the week, like
not
the
major
Commanders.
for them, but
Well, it was looking earlier in the week that the Commanders might have some beat up guys, and that's still the case. But they're looking like they're going to play. Deron Payne dislocated a finger in the last game. Was questionable, but he said he's playing. And then Bobby Wagner, their linebacker, had an ankle injury in last week's game. Was limited or didn't practice for 2 days this week, and then was limited in today's practice, and he should be good to go. They said so. Those were big for them. For the Lions, really the only thing to mention: Kevin Zeitler has not practiced yet this week. He's been working with trainers. Dan Campbell talked to the media today. Essentially said that he's trying to get back, but they don't know if he's going to get there. If he's not there, it's Christian Mahogany,
which makes me feel okay.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously
the dirtbag season.
Decker's been held out. I think possibly he's got a new kid. Maybe
it was listed as a personal reason, so no injury.
I'm hoping that everything's good there. Personally, I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I Mahogany in there will be all right. Zeitler, it would be nice to have Zeitler. Mm-hmm. It'll be nicer to have Zeitler if we make it to the Super Bowl and we play against his former team. That would just be poetic. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. There are some injuries. That Deron Payne finger, man, dude, that looked.
I didn't look at it.
To stick to his last name, that looked like Payne for real.
Yep,
it was nasty.
One kind of last note that I want to mention was that the Commanders starting kicker Zane Gonzalez was dealing with a little bit of injury this week, so he should be good to go. But keep an eye on that. If he tweaks something, that could be big for them. They could be in a real bind.
Yeah, I mean that kicker. I mean, he obviously is why they're here playing against us this week. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that could be huge. Didn't they have Riley Patterson at one time during this season?
I don't remember. I don't want to talk about Riley Patterson.
Well, I mean, I just I wish they would bring him back for this game is all.
Yeah. If you kick anything over 40 yards, you're screwed.
You got more stats, or you want me to jump in on one?
I'm done. That's all of my points.
So. I got something for you. This whole season, and I would say even like the past 2.5-ish seasons have been based on for us fans. I mean, I know the coaches and the players don't necessarily have this thought process, or they say they don't, but slaying demons, right, and changing the way things have always been, right. We're not the same old Lions anymore. Like regular season all time, Washington Redskins and Commanders, whatever you want to call them, Washington football team. 28-16 against the Lions all time. They're 28-16. Postseason, the Lions are 0-3 against the Redskins,
including a NFC Championship game loss. Correct?
Yes. Yep. Back in the Barry
90s,
years. Yep. Early 90s. 91, I think. I don't know. I was pretty young at that point. Shocker, but
I wasn't born yet.
You weren't even a twinkle. But yeah, 0-3 in the playoffs. So we're looking at this whole revenge tour and changing the same old Lions moniker and doing all that stuff, let's just check one more box here. So
That's an interesting point, although I am going to say I don't think that any of the players in there care
I said
about
that.
it.
I just said that. I just said that.
I didn't hear you, but
No, I'm saying as a fan base, like it's been fun to see them change.
It'd be fun to see it happen for sure.
Yes, it's been fun to see them change the way things have always been.
Well, no more points to be made. I guess there's only one thing left to do, and that's give a final score prediction.
Yep.
So what do you got?
33-24 Lions.
33-24 Lions. That's an odd score.
Yep.
So you're going to see probably some field goals in there then for the Lions.
I think we're going to get down there quite a bit. I think we're going to have to kick some field goals. They'll tighten up just like we will, and that's just how it'll be.
I have the Lions similar to you actually. A little bit less scoring. It's going to be 31-21 Lions. I think they only need to kick one field goal in this game. I think they score 4 touchdowns.
Who's your player of the game?
Who is my player of the game? Good question. I think it's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs.
Okay.
I just think after what he did to Minnesota, he's on an absolute torrent hot pace, and I think he's going to burn them. I think Montgomery's going to bruise them, and he's going to burn them.
I think you're right. I think not that that's my player of the game, but I think Gibbs is going to have just that much, just another notch of energy with Monty back. I think it's just going to be like a weight off his shoulders, and he's just going to go out there and run free. Not that he hasn't been, but he's going to feel just that much better about running that ball. My player of the game is going to be one of those 2 linebackers, whichever one gets that interception. I think it's going to be Alex Anzalone is the player of the game for me on this one.
Okay. Well, that's about all we have for the Lions. We're all hoping for a win, expecting a win. I think most of us are. It really, if we play to our full potential, should not be that close of a competition.
If come Sunday morning, you might see all of this sound stuff, all of that stuff on for sale on Facebook Marketplace if we lose, because I will absolutely lose my mind. So yeah. I'll be done with it. No, I'm just kidding.
So we are obviously we're done talking about the game, so I think it's only right that we move into some other stuff. This show is brought to you by Empire Contractors over here in Shelby, Michigan, on the west side of the state where we do our show, right along the lakeshore. Empire Contractors is a commercial roofing contractor who specializes in liquid applied roofing restoration. Check this out.
They can clean your existing roof, make some minor repairs, and apply a new thick coating system over your existing roof, avoiding expensive and nasty tear-off, saving you about half the cost over other systems. Empire Contractors work the entire Great Lakes region.
Give them a call to see if your roof is a candidate. They can be reached at 231-861-7221 or by going to roofsbyempire.com. They are also on Facebook. I thought it would be fun to kind of just talk about the award season. NFL awards, happens the weekend before the Super Bowl, or the Friday, I think, before the Super Bowl, something like that. But
it's like the 6th or something.
Yeah, so we're getting into that time where we're going to be finding out who's winning those awards, and I think we should just give our predictions on who we think's going to win, and we can talk about maybe who we think's going to win, who maybe should win certain awards.
Want to start with the MVP?
Yeah, I think we should start with the MVP.
Let's pull up a picture for you.
Yeah,
you made this.
You
want me to pull? Are you ready? You want me to pull it up?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, it's up there.
Here we go. So I made a tier list of my MVP candidates, and we're gonna start here. We've got the who's gonna win tier.
It's a good thing we don't own an LLC. We'd be sued right now. So that's all.
Who's gonna win up at the top? Josh Allen. Josh Allen's gonna win this. He's the golden boy right now of the NFL. I don't think Josh Allen should win this award. I'm gonna be honest with you. If I'm looking at the stats, Lamar Jackson is just about superior in every single stat category. And you can use the excuse that, yes, Josh Allen has less to work with, but I don't really think it matters all that much. Lamar Jackson has almost the same starting crew that he's had, other than Derrick Henry on offense, and he won MVP 2 times already. And these stats blow his stats from those 2 MVP awards out of the water.
Listen, are we debating this, or are we just, what are we doing? I'm debating.
Jump in if
I don't even care. I've got those 2 flipped for my MVP, just so you know. I think the exact opposite. If you put Jaden Daniels on either one of these teams, which one is just fine? The Ravens.
Yeah,
If
I
you
guess.
put him on the Bills, that team wins maybe 10 games, maybe.
Yeah,
Allen is way more valuable than Lamar to his team.
To me, though, I just don't think that's the way people should be valuing MVP. I understand that people say it's like the most valuable to their team, but that I don't think that's how it goes. I just think the most valuable player should be hands down the person who is playing the best football in the NFL, irregardless of position.
Well, if that's
Obviously,
the case,
it's quarterback award.
I was going to say, if that's the case, erase all this shit, and it's going to be Saquon Barkley.
We'll get to that.
I'm just saying.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
You see him down there.
I know. I know.
Next tier. That's my quarterback. That's my boy Jared Goff right there. Obviously not going to win it, although I think he's got some pretty comparable stats to Josh Allen, to be honest with
This
you.
episode, he's crying and saying that's my quarterback. Next episode, he will be in our front driveway lifting weights as he's interviewed. So
The next tier
shout out T.O.
The next tier is put the team on my back.
Oh my
But
gosh.
but it still wasn't enough. And that's Joe Burrow, who essentially was the Bengals this season.
Yep.
Unfortunately, you guys still sucked. Not much to say there. You guys sucked. I really don't think you can award an MVP award to a loser.
Nope. Offensive line still terrible. Defense has some holes, and it's not great.
And the next tier we have Pumpkin. And that would be Sam Darnold because he has finally reached his final evolution. And he is the great pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Now he's devolving.
Yeah. We've got the next tier, which is,
he is who he thought he was.
Sorry about it. You're not a quarterback. This is a quarterback award. I think the only shot that Saquon Barkley had to get this award is if he broke Eric Dickerson's single season rushing record, and Nick Sirianni completely shafted him on it. Talking about it, Barkley said it was kind of partially his decision, and they had talked about it early in the week that he wasn't going to play. He didn't
Was it though?
Sirianni asked him if he wanted it, and he kind of hem-hawed at first, but then he came back and kind of told him that he wanted it, and they still didn't put him in. I think he was kind of pissed.
Yeah, I don't know. He said all the right things. I will say
he's a very humble guy.
He said the right things.
I'm not saying
I got nothing bad to say about.
Yeah,
Barkley,
I'm not saying that he was
putting.
I'm not putting him on the level of AJ Brown. Okay, he's not reading a book on the sideline because he's pissed about the fact that he's not getting targets. But
he just likes to read. He said.
I digress.
He just likes to read.
In that same category,
I love my quarterback. That's my quarterback.
In that same category with Saquon, we have Derrick Henry, who had another outstanding season for a running back. Deserves some credit. Not going to win any awards for it, though.
An absolute man among boys.
Jamar Chase, I believe. I'd have to check the stats, but I believe he won the Triple Crown.
Yes.
So a Cooper Cup-esque type season.
Yep.
Not
he was the last one to do it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not going to get any credit for it, though, because you guys sucked again. Moving on.
Like where are you guys at? Cancun? Okay.
Moving on to the next tier, we have if Chris Collinsworth had a vote. And
oh man, I read that like 10 times and laughed every time, and then you read it out loud, and I laughed harder than I laughed the first 10 times.
Patrick Mahomes belongs nowhere near this award. They were awful on offense this year.
But listen, look at that picture. That is beautiful. That is a great picture. Oh my gosh.
I have never once seen a broadcaster be able to bring a reference to a player who was nowhere even near the game into it at any given opportunity. Every single time I turn on a broadcast with Chris Collinsworth, I always can bet on hearing, "Oh, look at that play. Kind of looks a little bit like Patrick Mahomes there." Like, what the hell?
Trey Hendrickson with the sack, man. Patrick Mahomes does that same thing.
It's ridiculous. I've never seen somebody drool harder for another man.
Look at Taylor Swift up there. Oh my gosh, she looks exactly like Patrick Mahomes watches football games. It's crazy.
The next tier we have taking over Diddy's estate, and
this is where we're getting sued.
That's going to be FTW podcast. Andy Carlson, shout out.
I got one question. Does SKOL stand for Searching Kids Online?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Then that makes sense for him.
Yep.
Okay.
It's crazy that he got that chant going out there. The whole team does it now.
Well, T.J. Hawkinson brought it over with him too, so
they're all like, that's insane. Like
I'm
they're
excited to
banging
go.
drums, they're clapping their hands over their head, and they're all saying "Search kids online." What the heck? Anyway,
Hawkinson's excited to win some games, you guys.
if you know, you know. Moving on to the last year. This is the
How
only.
can you not?
This is just serious. We'll end it. It's rookies. Jaden Daniels had an outstanding year, but he's a rookie. He's not going to win that award.
No, not going to happen.
Right. Okay, so
he will in his career if he stays healthy, though. I'm going to say that hot take. Okay.
So
anyways,
you have what I think. I want. Are
you done with this picture so I can get it off of you?
Okay. I want to give you something to think about here. Okay. Don't look over here at my computer.
I'm not looking at. I can't read from there anyway. You got
I want you to listen to these following stats, and it's going to be a lot to digest.
I can't even, dude. I can't even read it from here.
I know. Get out of here. So I want you to listen to these stats and tell me which of these three guys, in ranking. I'll just say player 1, player 2, or player 3. I'll put them in order. But
are we doing this for like MVP or what are you doing?
Yeah,
this
I
for?
want you to tell me which one you think is the MVP winner. Okay.
Yeah.
Player number 1. 3,731 passing yards.
Okay.
Ranked 14th in the NFL. 28 passing touchdowns, which was tied for 7th. Threw only 6 interceptions, which was ranked 30th in the NFL. So he was near the bottom tier of quarterbacks and turning the ball over. 63.6 completion percentage, bottom half of the league. 77.5 quarterback rating, first in the NFL. 101.4 passer rating, 8th in the NFL. 531 rushing yards, 5th among quarterbacks. 12 rushing touchdowns, which is tied for 9th overall among all players in the NFL and 2nd among quarterbacks. He also had 7 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. All in total, 4,269 all-purpose yards, 41 touchdowns.
Okay. You're assuming I don't know who these are. I already know who that is.
Yeah, player number 2.
Man Crush.
4,629 passing yards, 2nd in the NFL.
Okay.
37 touchdowns passing, 4th in the NFL. Threw 12 interceptions, which was tied for the 4th most among starting quarterbacks.
I know who this is too.
72.4 completion percentage, 2nd among starting quarterbacks. 68.5 quarterback rating, 6th in the NFL. 118.8 passer rating, 2nd in the NFL. 56 rushing yards, 7 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. 4,692 all-purpose yards, 38 touchdowns total.
That's my quarterback.
Player number 3. 4,172 passing yards, 6th in the NFL. 41 touchdowns, tied for 2nd in the NFL. 4 interceptions thrown, tied for 38th most in the NFL, which means there were some backups that threw more interceptions than he did. 66.7 completion percentage, which is 12th in the NFL.
Okay, hold on. Caleb Williams started. He was a backup, but he started.
77.2 quarterback rating, which is 2nd. 119.6 passer rating, 1st in the NFL. 915 rushing yards, 1st among quarterbacks, 20th overall. And 4 rushing touchdowns, which is 9th among quarterbacks, all totaled.
That's a surprise.
5,087 all-purpose yards, 45 TDs.
If that's who I think it is, that's surprising that he only had 4 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah. Okay, so player 1, player 2, player 3.
Okay.
Rank them. MVP winning.
3, 2, 1.
Okay. So, and you probably knew,
I know who they are.
You know.
If you're going based on blind stats, it's 3, 2, 1.
For those listening at home, player number 3, who Zach just ranked as number 1, Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Player number 2 that he just ranked as runner-up, Jared Goff. Player number 1 that he ranked in 3rd, Josh Allen.
Who's the most valuable on their team?
Who should win
Josh
the
Allen.
MVP?
Most valuable on their team, Josh Allen.
I do not care. Josh Allen got blown out by 2 other quarterbacks in a number of stats. Jared Goff, if he had not thrown a 5-interception game, likely would have been ahead of Josh Allen in voting. I don't care.
I still think it sucks that. Yeah, I think that 5-interception game absolutely killed him. But yeah, and because it made it look like he's not as valuable to his team, they still won that game.
You want to know something funny? You want to talk about the voting method here? So the AP system has like 50, I think, people that get selected, sports writers, broadcasters, whatever, that get a vote You want to hear some notable names that are on that list?
Probably not.
I believe this is for this year. If the information I found was correct, I'm hoping it's not last year's, but it did say 2024, so I think it's this year's, right?
Okay.
Emmanuel Acho on FS1.
Okay, so he's not voting for anybody on the Lions for sure.
Complete dumbass. I hate Emmanuel Acho with a passion. He's awful on FS1.
How did his name even get in there?
I don't know. He's awful, and
don't you have to be credible?
I won't play this card, but Emmanuel Acho is notorious for and rightfully so. Good for him. He fights for equality for black quarterbacks and that.
But that's good. We're good. We're with that.
Yeah. But in my opinion, he's always going to let that blind him.
Yeah, that's where it becomes a problem. I mean, if you're a better player now.
Obviously, this time around it works.
Right.
So if you want to throw your hat on Lamar Jackson, nobody's going to complain about that one, okay?
I am.
Moving on to the next one. Tom Brady, Fox Sports. Has a vote. Tom Brady is slobbing on that Josh Allen knob.
Okay, so I mean, maybe they evened it out.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Now
here's some potentials that I'm thinking. Maybe Jared Goff gets a few votes.
Okay, well then never mind. What I was about to say is absolutely irrelevant to that last question or sentence. But I was going to say if you say Nick Wright, I'm leaving.
No, he does not have a vote. No, he does not. Tony Dungy of NBC Sports. He's a pretty fair guy.
Yeah,
he's notably Detroit guy.
Loves Detroit. He's also going to he's not going to vote with his heart.
He's a very fair guy.
Yep.
Very fair guy.
Yep.
Dave Burkett, Detroit Free Press.
Still good guy. Not going to vote with his heart.
I don't give a crap. Dave Burkett.
Vote for Goff.
I'm doxing you if I find out you didn't vote for Jared Goff.
I don't know if you have that power.
I'll find the home address.
You're docking him?
Doxing. I'm going to release that address online.
You're going to end up getting clown slippers,
We know where
bro.
you work, Dave.
You're going to get clown slippers.
We know where you work. Mike Florio, PFT. Again, notable dumbass.
Yeah.
Yep. Mina Kimes, ESPN. I just thought you would like that because you
not
like
a dumbass.
Mina Kimes.
Thank you.
Yes. Detroit guy, also dumbass. Dan Orlovsky.
I mean, yeah.
We were just talking about how he's a dumbass.
Yeah, I mean,
what were we just talking about?
He would have been the best quarterback on the team.
Dan Orlovsky just released a thing on his show or on ESPN, whatever the freak his show is called. With all the people, I don't even know what it is, but
it's watch the back line.
He just said the Rams are the most dangerous team remaining in the NFC. Okay, then where's their number 1 seed at, Dan? God damn, get your ass in the back of the end zone.
He would have been the number 1 quarterback on our team when he started if he would have stayed out of the back of the end zone.
That man should be, more worried about dodging white lines than voting for MVP, okay?
And we are not talking about little bumps and stuff. We're talking.
And there's some other guys that I don't, big names. Mike Tirico, Diana Rossini from The Athletic, Chris Sims gets a vote.
Chris Sims, I could see doing the whole Josh Allen thing.
Yeah, Boomer, Coach Boomer from CBS gets one. Teddy Bruschi. Okay. Charles Davis. I don't know how they let somebody with the last name Epstein on this list, but here we are.
Oh my
Hopefully
gosh.
there's no relation there.
I would like to refer to Diddy for my vote.
So that's my whole MVP case. I'm done talking about it. Do you have anything you want to toss in?
No, like I said, if I'm going.
So fine. Sorry for
MVP, Josh Allen.
Yeah, final vote. You're saying Josh Allen
should be Josh Allen. Will be Lamar.
Okay, well I'm not going to argue with you because you have the right person winning. So, offensive player of the year
should be Josh Allen. Offensive player of the year.
Give me who you got?
Should be Saquon Barkley. Will be Saquon Barkley.
Yes, I agree. Saquon Barkley going to win that one. Here's a fun one. Defensive player of the year. Before you say anything, we know this award typically goes to edge rushers. However, there really has not been a lot of standout edge rushers. I mean, you can make a case for Trey Hendrickson
or T.J. Watt,
but I just really don't think even though Trey Hendrickson's had a big impact on his team, that team still sucked. So I just don't think I would give him
T.J.
defensive
Watt
rating.
still had a good season, but he didn't show up in big
He didn't
games, in
have
my
the
opinion.
numbers
No,
necessarily either.
I
So.
just don't think he showed up in big games. So we're doing this? Yeah, it will not be an edge rusher. It won't even be a defensive lineman at all.
Yeah, who you got?
Should be Kirby Joseph. That's me as a homer. I mean, that's really what it is.
Yep.
It will be Pat Surtain, though.
Okay, that is also who I had winning.
Yeah.
I did give Kirby Joseph an honorable mention because I absolutely think
what he did was crazy.
A very legitimate case to win this award.
What he did on the defense that we have and all the injuries and stuff was absolutely crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think we both can agree that's going to be Jaden Daniels, right?
Yes.
I don't think anyone else really has a case.
Should be, will be. Jaden Daniels.
Bo Nix maybe has a case, but
maybe Brock Bowers, maybe.
Good. Oh, good one. That completely slipped my mind.
Yeah.
If I'm voting,
but it's a tight end. It's not sexy. I think it's going to be Jaden Daniels. The Raiders weren't in the playoffs. I think it's going to be. Yeah, I know, but I think it's going to be Jaden Daniels. He's in the playoffs. They won the playoff game as a 6th seed. I think he's got it.
These are the times where I almost wish that we were more like Madden, and we gave awards to each conference.
I know.
Give an offensive rookie of the year and defensive rookie of the year and an offensive player of the year and a defensive player of the year to the AFC and the NFC. But obviously that's not how it works.
He'll 100% be there for best tight end. But I mean, again, that's another Madden thing.
Yeah, they don't have that award actually.
Right.
We're not giving away the Belinda cough out here. Defensive rookie of the year. We got.
Should be Quinyon Mitchell.
Disagree.
It should be Quinyon Mitchell. It 100% will be Jared Verse. 100%.
Jared Verse deserves this award over Quinyon Mitchell. I understand that Quinyon Mitchell has been very impressive this year. However,
people stop throwing it his way, dude.
Yeah, I know. And
completely.
That's kind of why he lost. He doesn't have the stats because he wasn't getting thrown that way. But let's also take into account a little bit of circumstances at that point because they both had great years. One of them did put up numbers, and that's nothing against Quinyon Mitchell. The thing I'm looking at it here is the Eagles are an elite level defense. They have top tier players at just about every position on that defense. You look at the Rams, they're playing with leftovers. They're playing with rookies on the defensive line, guys in their second year. They traded away their starting linebacker in the offseason. There's not much there.
You can't say the Eagles secondary is not elite. They played a lot of 2 rookie cornerbacks.
And Cooper DeJean was one of the best nickel corners in the NFL.
I get it.
Darius Slay had an incredible year again.
CJGJ had a good year too.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, they're not elite. You can't say Darius Slay is still elite.
I would disagree based on the performance I just saw him have.
CJGJ, not elite.
Wild card round.
CJGJ had a good year. He's not elite.
I'm not saying he's elite, but
Cooper DeJean is a rookie. He could be, but he's not.
The case isn't.
I will say
these guys have played at an elite level and they're elite athletes. The case is these guys had a very good year, and because they had very good years, it took a lot of pressure off Quinyon Mitchell.
And this is a 1A, 2A for me.
Yeah.
Like
1A, 1B, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Good.
Those guys, I mean, they should be right there.
Mm-hmm.
I think Verse will get it. I would like to have seen Quinyon Mitchell get it. We were kind of a fan of him from wanting, to draft him. Should we have gotten that high?
I wanted that guy with every inch of my being. I wanted Quinyon Mitchell.
That's why I'm saying it will be Jared Verse. I would like to have seen Quinyon Mitchell, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
Coach of the Year.
This one's gonna piss me off. This is gonna piss me off.
So I know where this is going. Then we both landed at the same conclusion, right?
Should be.
Yeah.
MCDC.
Should be Dan Campbell, without a doubt.
Will be.
Kevin O'Connell.
Yep. Gonna piss me right off.
I don't know how you do that, considering. And Vikings fans, if you're listening, I have so many swear words that I would throw at you right now.
You guys are the 24-25 equivalent to the 23-24 Rams fans.
Yeah. Okay,
basically.
so listen, this is the Vikings' whole reasoning. Kevin O'Connell deserves this award over anybody because he took a team that had nobody had any expectations for them, and he took them and just turned them into this great team. And
He's going to argue my point.
oh, were you?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
no, it's good. Go ahead.
Go. Let's look at what Kevin O'Connell had to work with. Kevin O'Connell had the best wide receiver in the NFL. Kevin O'Connell had arguably a top 3, if not better, wide receiver 2 in the NFL in Jordan Addison. Kevin O'Connell
most of the year
got a Pro Bowl top 5 playing last year, tight end back in the middle of the year. Kevin O'Connell upgraded the running back position from Alexander Madison to Aaron Jones. I don't care what you say about his age. That was a clear upgrade. You have an all-pro level left tackle who got injured late in the year. Boo-hoo. Deal with injuries.
You had a quarterback that for the first 2 or 3 quarters of the year, 2/3 of the year, was in the MVP race.
Yeah. Sam Darnold's the last one I want to talk about here. Then I'll go to the defense. Okay, so what are we talking about? You lost Danielle Hunter, and I understand you lost Danielle Hunter, and he balled out in Houston. Danielle Hunter was aging. Nobody expected him to have that kind of impact anymore.
No.
You made the right move to get rid of an aging player and try and upgrade with younger guys. You're going to say Andrew Van Ginkel was not expected to be the player he was. No, he was not. But Andrew Van Ginkel was a very good player in Miami. He was not some schlub off the streets. And Jonathan Grenard had an absolutely outstanding year in Houston. His only projection was to clear the ceiling he had already set for himself. Those are, relatively young guys that you got. You had Byron Murphy in the secondary, who, you say what you want, he was good. Andrew Bynum played out of his mind this year. Harrison Smith has been a steady force out there. You brought in veteran Stephon Gilmore and Shaq Griffin in the secondary. I don't care what you say about. You can say whatever you want. You upgraded clearly at just about every position of need. And yes, the secondary had some problems this year. Yes, it did. I don't care. You want to talk about secondary problems? Talk about what MCDC dealt with this year. Talk about the fact that we had, 18 guys put on IR, and we still not only, won games, but put belt to ass on you 2 times. 2 times Kevin O'Connell got out-coached by a guy in his own division. How do you have a better record overall than a team like that?
2 head-to-head wins.
2 head-to-head wins.
People are going to argue that the first game was close. It wasn't belt to ass, but it was closer than it needed to be.
Yeah, and
we really actually dominated most of that game.
Yeah, I won't make any excuses for them. Obviously, that game was over until David Montgomery fumbled. If he had not fumbled that ball, you guys are sitting there crying about the fact that you just lost by 2 possessions.
Yep.
Okay? So, ligma on that one.
So what did we do? We came back, and in the biggest regular season game in possibly NFL history, 31-9 whooped your ass.
The only thing I'm going to give you is that Sam Darnold was not expected to be the player he was, and Kevin O'Connell did a great job developing him and putting him in a situation to succeed. However, that being said, how many former first-round picks would have succeeded in a situation where you have that many weapons in front of you? I don't think anyone could not have a good year throwing to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison.
Right.
Like, that's what
Hawk was out for the first half of the year, but I mean,
what are we talking about here?
You didn't take my argument, so I'm happy. Let me go even one step further on this, okay? Mm-hmm. They're going to say a lot of argument was he should get it this year over Dan Campbell because look how far they brought them ahead in a rebuild. Look how fast they sped it up. I've heard that. I've heard that a bunch of times from Vikings fans.
Oh, no, I have too.
From Andy freaking Carlson.
Is the rebuild in the room with us?
I mean, it's not just that. It goes like even farther. If Dan Campbell got snubbed on it last year when he did the same damn thing that KOC did this year, and then Dan Campbell went and got all these injuries, we picked up a whole bunch of guys. This was going to be an absolute star-studded team. People started dropping like flies. Still won 15 games. Most in the franchise's history. We're talking back to 1934, and if you even want to go further, 1930 technically. Listen, it's the best the Lions have ever done in the regular season. It was also historical the amount of IR guys they had, starters on IR. and he still won 15 games. Now, does that have to do with all Dan Campbell? No, but a hell of a lot of it does. He's got that locker room and the culture that they've built here. We've talked about it since the preseason, or before the preseason. Absolutely, hands down, should be the best coach. Should be awarded for being the best coach in the NFL right now this year.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to say.
Should be, will be.
It should be Dan Campbell. It's going to be Kevin O'Connell, and I will riot.
I won't, because I will be too busy getting ready for a Super Bowl party parade in Detroit streets.
Okay, so final award here probably. I think there's a few others we could talk about if you want to, but just give nods. But they're not going to be like big talks.
Okay.
Last one is going to be Comeback Player of the Year. Who gets it?
I actually think I forgot to look at this one. Let
me preface this for you.
I'll give you.
Okay,
I got it. I got one.
Go ahead.
Unless you really need to say
go
it.
ahead.
In the same breath of what I just said, I will give credit to somebody, and I'm going to say Sam Darnold should be Comeback Player of the Year.
I was just going to say this. Here's the weird thing with this. So, prior to the season, there was a clarification made by the AP voters that
had to be a hardship or something.
They really wanted this to go to somebody. Essentially, they worded it. It's essentially like somebody returning from an injury is what they really want it to be. Okay, and it should be. I understand. I think it should be.
Not me. I think if you're counted out, you're down and out. You come back and you lead your team to 14 wins. You should be in there, 100%. I'm fighting for a Vikings player, and I hate it, but
I don't agree. Do I agree that?
Listen, just give it to him because it'll be the last thing. It'll be the last good thing he gets on a football field. So
yeah, I guess.
He's done. Pumpkin.
The AP already did come out and say that they will not bar Sam Darnold from being in contention for that award. So basically, yes, just give him the award. I have him winning as well. I think it should be J.K. Dobbins for the Chargers, coming off a believe torn ACL
he did
2 years ago, and a torn Achilles last year, and establishing himself as the number one back in Los Angeles. And he did miss some time, but he played very, very well.
Yeah, but I mean, do you want to do that? I mean, do you want to count like Keenan Allen in there then, because he played when Caleb Williams wasn't being a dumbass, played really well.
Yeah, I would put him in there if he actually did anything.
Hey, he had some really good games. But anyways,
I saw them say that that's the most Bears thing ever. You went out and got Keenan Allen, expecting him to be this great guy, and he's just been buns this year. He's been dropping balls left and right. Like, he's the most reliable guy. He catches everything, and he's just been dropping passes all year long.
He pulled a Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah. I'll get back to that later. So I think there's a few other awards that we could talk about. I do believe they give out like an assistant coach of the year, and that goes to like coordinators or whoever had a really good year. So who do you think that goes
to? I mean, don't even.
I think
I might surprise you with it.
I think Aaron Glenn.
There you go. That's what I was gonna say. 100%.
I don't know who won it last year, but it should have been Ben Johnson.
When you have, what was it, 16? I know it was 18 total, but 16 on the defense, right? IR. Yeah. When you have that many injuries and you've got a guy sitting basically cross-legged on a bench because his team just absolutely whooped him, and then they go do it again, and then they do it again, and he's got 3 games where he's got pictures of him sitting leaned back with his legs crossed on the bench in the middle of a game. Give it to him.
Aaron Glenn has a great chance at this. I don't know if he's going to win it though.
He absolutely should.
They're gonna look at guys like the
Ravens,
Spags. The Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken, who had a great year this year.
They're
going to look at Brian Flores in Minnesota.
Yeah. Yep. I didn't think about that one. Yep.
I don't know. Whatever. That's all. I want to talk about that. But then there's also the final award, which I don't really know who I would give this award to, but the executive of the year or whatever, which is basically like a front office guy, a GM or whatever. And Brad Holmes won this award last year. You don't have to give me anybody.
I'll give you who I think it should be. Obviously not being Brad Holmes is amazing. I don't want another GM. I would not want any other GM at all. I would give it to, I don't know who it is, but whoever the GM is at the Houston Texans, I'd give it to them because they absolutely brought all sorts of weapons in and stuff. And had they stayed healthy, I think that team was going to be Super Bowl bound. I really do.
I don't know. Honestly, I think the guy that has a case to win this every year is Howie Roseman.
Where's he at?
Eagles.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
draft Quinyon Mitchell and
listen,
Cooper DeJean.
we've talked about this before. I think the dude freaking roofies people before he makes trades. I don't know how he gets these trades to go through. He's got to be like giving them roofies or something before he asks them to trade. It's crazy. So yeah, I will give you that, but that could be one that he could get. I mean, if there's a all decade guy, maybe he's in there or something. But again, ours is making a case for that too.
That's all I have. Any other awards you want to talk about? Anything?
Yeah, actually, I think we should give out one more award.
Yeah.
I gotta take my headphones off for this, so hopefully the microphones still work. But we have to crown a champion, and there's an award that needs to be given out, and it pains me to have to do this, but I have an award for you.
Oh, I know what this is.
Dun, da, da, da.
Where's my chant? Brendan Samuels. Brandon. That doesn't really right.
That is our fantasy league championship trophy that gets passed around every year through all sorts of collusion and trading with kids that don't even follow football but are in it, and cutting other people's players and then picking them up for them and stuff. Brendan won this year. So Tom Dempsey's club, that is the name of our of our league, and he won it this year.
You are so lucky you got to that before me, because my acceptance speech was going to say I'd like to thank Zach for absolutely demolishing his kids in terms of telling them who to play on certain weeks and then executing trades that were clearly lopsided in his favor.
I would love to.
I'd like to thank my nephew Colton for drafting every injured player possible, as well as the Chiefs'
without
entire
knowing
roster.
that they were injured. You'd like to thank our dad, the legend, who drafted the entire Lions team. Was in the championship.
I would not like to thank him because he was in the championship and he almost came back.
I tell you what, if I hadn't taken Amon-Ra, out from under him, he probably would have won it.
I'd like to thank.
He wouldn't have got
I'd like
Gibbs.
to thank my other brother Jordan for drafting a defense in the second round.
He's gonna kick your butt. He listens to this crap, man.
I'd like to thank the people who don't do any research before drafting and just go in blind. Mom. Yeah, I don't really know who else to thank. I'd like to
thank the previous two winners for not winning again.
No, I'd like to just say that
he'd like to thank my wife for taking Malik Neighbors over top of me.
Wait, you were in the draft? You took Malik Neighbors over?
She probably would. We ain't talking about the draft though.
No, I just think the last note that needs to be said is everybody counted me out. They wrote me off. I didn't write back. I was told that only women could win this award.
They really had us in the first half
because they won the past 2 years.
Anti-chill.
They won the first 2 years.
Something about I can kick this trophy and
the
hopefully
boys are back on top. I can
hopefully
throw this pigskin over the mountains over there.
In true Harrison Butker form. Hopefully the women know where they're at now.
Yeah.
Holy crap! That's
Let's not. We don't need to tell women that they need to focus on being a homemaker.
Oh my gosh, that's so bad. So yeah. I don't know. I ended 5th, I think.
Thank you for this award. It doesn't have my plaque on it yet. Zach, that's in the mail.
It's not in the mail yet. It's been ordered.
You said you bought it.
It's been ordered. Dude, I had to. It was extra money to put the asterisk on it.
Oh yeah. If you're wondering what my team name was, I drafted Alvin Kamara, so my team name was Lights Kamara Action.
So stupid.
Anyway,
with an asterisk at the
Moving
end.
away from awards, I've been crowned. I'm the greatest of all time. Nobody stands up to me.
Why do you have to go like Donald Trump with
I'm
it?
gonna build a fantasy team,
I'm
and I'm gonna make Mexico pay for it.
I'm gonna make yes. I'm gonna make Mexico pay for it. That's what I was just gonna say.
I'd
I'm
like
gonna
to
make
thank.
fantasy football great again.
I'd like to thank Sleepy Joe
And after this, we're all getting ice cream.
and Kamala.
When did we get ice cream?
Yeah.
All right, this is going off the rails, man. All right, anyways.
Final talking point we're going to have today is just addressing the kind of head coaching carousel. We've got some open jobs, and we'd like to kind of give some predictions, see what we got going.
Yeah, you're going to do a lot of this one. I got some, but not
the
all.
New England Patriots were on this list before when I was making these notes, and then they, curtsied their way through the Rooney Rule and hired Mike Vrabel. So they're off the list. We don't need to talk about them. Notably tried to interview Aaron Glenn in an attempt to save their ass for not
After saying they didn't want to.
genuinely and interviewing any African American candidates other than guys that have been out of coaching for a few years.
And the only thing worse than that situation is Jerry Jones is still the owner of the Cowboys, and he did even more dumb stuff than we thought he could do.
Yeah, so let's start off. I'm just gonna go down the list. If you want to try, you can. If you don't,
Yeah, no, I got something to throw out there. So go ahead.
So we'll start with the Jaguars.
Yeah, that one I don't have. I don't have that one. I don't.
Someone who's been linked to that job is Robert Saleh.
Nope. Not happening.
That's who I've got. That's who I've got.
Disagree.
I think very it's either going to be him or I think it's going to be Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator for the Bucs.
I could see that one. I see that one more than I see Saleh going down there.
New York Jets.
Aaron Glenn. 100%, it's already a done deal.
It's a jockeying position between the Jets and the Saints for that position.
Former teams.
I don't have him getting I don't have him taking the Jets job. I have him taking the Saints job.
See, I don't have one. I don't have a fill in for the Saints. I really don't.
I just think he's going to take the Saints job. I think.
I would rather. I mean, obviously the Saints aren't crap, I guess, but I just think with the oncoming, Sauce Gardner over there and playing the position he play, or not the position, but playing in the secondary on the Jets. I just think I think that team's going to be alluring to him. I think that's a done deal.
Yeah, I have a dark horse candidate for the Jets. I think they stay defense, but they go Brian Flores.
Oh, you think he's getting pulled away?
Yeah,
I don't think he's moving.
I do. He said he's comfortable there and he thinks Minnesota, but I think he's going to get a job this cycle.
Okay.
Raiders.
Ben Johnson.
I have Ben Johnson as the likely candidate, but I also think that he could possibly turn them down because of the whole situation with everything going on there. There's nothing really positive to talk about.
I just had a funny thought. We're talking about the possibility, or people are talking about the possibility of Tom Brady having a say in bringing Ben Johnson in if they, whatever. I just think it's funny to think, what if he brought like Julian Edelman in there to coach? That's just a thought I had. It'd be funny.
No, I think
Julian Edelman, Gronk as the offensive coordinator.
I think if it's not Ben Johnson, I could see them going Pete Carroll.
Okay. I don't know why that guy wants to come back and coach. That's absolutely crazy.
To me, anyone who hires Pete Carroll is hiring a rental to kind of try
maybe 3
and
years.
right the ship and then get a younger guy in there.
Yeah.
And I think Pete Carroll could be the guy to do that for them.
Yeah, shout out Patriots.
I also think it would be the very ill-advised move that Mark Davis would make. Bears. Who you got? Anybody?
It'll be some no-name from college that nobody has ever heard of before.
No, not correct.
Ryan Poles.
Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy has 2 jobs on his radar, and it's the Saints or the Bears.
I'm so okay with that.
And he will get hired by one.
I'm so okay with that. Honestly, I think Mike McCarthy is outdated. I really do.
I don't think he should have been released from Dallas. I think Jerry Jones is an idiot. I'm not saying he's a bad or a legendary coach. He's not, but he knows how to win.
Well, he must have done or said something because Jerry Jones was all in his corner, wasn't going to let him, go apply anywhere else, and now he is. So
Saints, You don't have anybody.
Saints, I
I
don't
said
have
Aaron
anybody.
Glenn.
No.
Cowboys. Here's the lowdown on the Cowboys, right? Everybody had to let their head coaches go, and they were allowed to schedule interviews with coaches, in this last week, because leading, with the bye week, they can interview guys. Jerry Jones decided to let Mike McCarthy's contract run completely out, which disqualified him from being able to put in an initial request for interviews for all of the top candidates. So now he has to wait until their seasons are over in order to interview the top candidates. So if any of these guys are making the Super Bowl like we think they are, he will not be able to interview them until after the Super Bowl is over.
That's so dumb, dude.
So if you ever thought that maybe Ben Johnson would be there, think again. He's probably going to have his destination picked by that time, or he'll be staying. Who knows? Um, this is what's going to happen. Jerry Jones, yet again, shoots the Cowboys in the foot. They are going to have to go familiar face.
Nope.
And they just put in an interview request for one Eagles offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore.
No, I think somebody else.
There have been several reports saying that they have always thought highly of Kellen Moore.
That would be dope for Kellen Moore.
Jerry Jones essentially pushed him into the role of offensive coordinator and told Mike McCarthy that he's going to be your offensive coordinator.
That would be dope for Kellen Moore. I hope that happens.
I just don't think they have an option other than to go to somebody who's familiar.
I think they have. I'm not saying that there's anything illegal going on, but I think that there's already been some talks somewhere somehow. I think Robert Saleh is going to end up in Dallas. I really do.
I just don't. Here's a dark horse.
Jeez, you could roll your eyes a little more about that.
we talked about. We haven't talked about. They tried to kind of rope Deion Sanders in, huh?
Yeah,
he essentially said he's happy in Colorado.
I think so, and I think he saw the writing on the wall. They are not going to get Shadur, and I mean, obviously not. They have Dak, but I don't. I mean, if it was going to be anybody, it'd be the Raiders, and I don't think he's going there.
They should swing a trade like the Texans did and try and get 2 back-to-back picks up near the top, and then he could have Travis Hunter and Shadur back. Then he could go draft Shiloh back in the 7th round or whatever.
That'd be crazy. I also will say I just don't think that I think that Prime, and I've got my own feelings about Coach Prime. I think he's very well suited for college kids. I don't think he's adult enough to coach adults. I just don't. I think there's too much flash and too much glamour and too much all this other crap. I just don't think an NFL team. I just don't think he's going to be successful with an NFL team. At this point, I just don't think he would.
Okay, so yeah, that's all I had to say there. Those are all the coaching jobs I believe that are available now. I just wanted to side note there are some other Lions guys getting interviews for different positions. Frank Fraley, the offensive line coach, did get an interview for the Seahawks offensive coordinator spot. Mm-hmm. Chris Spielman, who is the assistant to the president and CEO for the Lions,
big part of this turnaround,
got an interview for the New York Jets GM. If we see Aaron Glenn go there, possibility he could go with him. Who knows?
I can see that too.
Jet Modkins, assistant special teams coordinator, got an interview for the 49ers special teams coordinator spot. And then Deshae Townsend has had talks with the 49ers as well to possibly become a defensive coordinator over there.
And you said if we lose our coordinators, you're thinking Engstrand for offense, right? And
yeah, I think Tanner Engstrand, the tight end special or passing game coordinator, would be the next offensive coordinator. Scotty Montgomery might be there too.
Okay. And you see for defense, you see Shep as the main one, as the first one, or no?
I think it's Shep or Townsend.
Okay. You don't see Randall L in there for the offensive coordinator at all?
I think he's going to get an offensive coordinator at some point. I just think Scotty Montgomery's the assistant head coach for a reason, and Tanner Engstrand's a young mind who has learned under Ben Johnson for a while. So I just don't know really.
Yeah.
How
I got you.
Randall L beats those two out.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I have.
Right? Okay. So. Yeah, that's all the openings. I mean, obviously there will be coordinator carousels because of these.
We might lose even more guys off our staff if those 2 guys get pulled away to head coaching jobs. The plot.
I also just want to throw out there, not that it really matters that much, but I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't throw this out there. There's a lot of like doom and gloom about losing our coordinators.
It's a sign of a good team.
It's a sign of a good team. It's a sign of good coaches and good culture. I it's going to happen. Just like you're going to have to let stars go. It's a sign of good drafting. It's the same thing. I want these guys to go somewhere and succeed. As much as we joke around or even like half-heartedly or wholeheartedly say we want these guys to stay, we don't want them to go anywhere. Obviously, once a lion, always a lion. We want these guys to go and do well somewhere else if they're going to move on. But um, don't panic because we're losing our coordinators. Like Dan Campbell's got this. There might be a little bit of some fluctuation, but I think the guys that we have in place, there's going to be enough, trickle down effect to where we're going to be all right for sure. So,
yeah, cool. Well, that's it for us, guys. It's been a nice long show here. We talked about a lot of stuff. Let's move one step closer to the goal. Beat the Commanders, get to that NFC Championship game, bid for a Super Bowl.
Yep. Don't look past the Commanders because the Vikings look past the Rams.
Yep.
and I told the fan base not to, and guess what happened? God dang it. All right, anyways.
And with that, we will leave you with a hearty Go Lions.
Go Lions, baby, all the way.